Hey there, darlings. Welcome to the Farmer's Table. My name's Jess if you're new here, and if you're not new here, welcome back. I'm glad you are all here. Today in my kitchen, I am having what I call a hummingbird day. That is where I flit from task to task. I get a whole lot done, and I typically don't turn the camera on days like this, even though this is actually what most full kitchen days look like for me, because I'm not doing anything consecutively, and it makes me feel like, oh, I can't give good instruction here. So today is not really for the purpose of instruction. I will tell you that I am doing a lot of really cool stuff today, and I'm going to be batching the stuff, meaning everything that I'm doing today, I'm going to be doing again over the next few weeks. 2 weeks specifically is my goal. So if there's anything specifically you're like, hey, I really want like start to finish instruction for that, let me know, because I will make that video. I'm planning on making a few that are kind of some of the stuff I'm doing today. But today is a hummingbird day. Today is the day that I'm going to just knock a whole bunch of stuff out. I need that. I need to like really get a lot done. Our freezers are really full right now. Great problem to have. I am not even remotely complaining. We have processed a few animals recently, and it means that our freezers are really full. And so my goal right now is to take as much out of my freezers as I can in the next 2 weeks. This is a goal I'm setting for myself, to make it shelf stable. So I'm going to be canning, pressure canning meat, processing stuff. I've got a lot of fat and bones that I haven't processed over the last like few animals that we have butchered, and I really need to do a lot of broth and a lot of like lard and tallow processing. And it's just been one of those things. It's like, oh, I'll get to it. Well, now I have like half a freezer full of fat and bones. And so that doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to spend electricity and energy storing something which I can't actually even use in the form that it's in. I need to just do the work to get it into the form that it is both usable and also doesn't take any more energy to store it. So that's definitely good. Another thing that's really on my list to do is I want to take, while I'm processing this meat and pressure canning it, I want to make some convenience food. So every so often I will do like a grocery store challenge where I'll set a period of time where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to the grocery store. And I've always done bulk buying during that time. Like I'll still buy from Azure Standard, because I don't ever really like running my pantry down and like really depleting it, because you know, I like to be prepared for anything, and I don't think a depleted pantry is a great place to be. But I really will push myself to stay out of the grocery store, because in the grocery store is where you end up buying conveniences or paying for things that you could easily do yourself just because it's available and it's easy. I'm very, very prone to that, especially in seasons where I'm feeling the crunch and a lot of pressure of like juggling a lot of things. Those conveniences like sing to me like a dang siren. And so I will stay out of the grocery store. So this year, I decided that I was going to do like a very long grocery store challenge, and I'm kind of easing into it in these early months because my garden's not producing very much. So for the next couple of months, I'm only purchasing ingredients. So ingredients only. And then into the summer, I'm going to attempt to not go to the grocery store at all. I will still bulk buy the things that I need to, but right now in only purchasing ingredients, it's really, I mean, there's so many things that are just easy to make, like tortillas, for instance. Like, I know how to make tortillas. Tortillas are not hard. They're so much better when you make them yourself. But I'm really prone to be like, okay, I'll grab some tortillas because it's fast and because that's an easy dinner. And there are, you know, a lot of things like that I know how to make. I've made many times. I prefer making them, but I fall back on convenience because we have nights where we have karate and baseball, and I just need some conveniences. So one of my goals in making my freezer food shelf stable is I also want to create some convenience food. So I'm going to be doing some canning with things that I can just open jars and make a fast meal for my family. In the past, when I have like made my own conveniences and made sure I stayed ahead of the curve and really invested before the busy season or before a season that I knew was going to be a crunch and got prepared for it, it just alleviates so much stress to do that. The problem is if you don't think about it ahead of time and you're in the middle of the busy season, then you don't have a lot of excess time to do it. The busy season is starting for us right now. It's definitely like my kids are in sports, the garden's getting going. There's a lot of work, but I know that 2 months from now it's gonna be way, way more slammed. So I'm saying now it's time to do the work. So I've got all this stuff thawed. I just pulled this out of the fridge. Right here, I've got 3 big bags of pork bones. This is from the most recent hog. Our friends we hired to process for us, they do excellent work. And I'm going to make pork broth. Here I have multiple roasts. So this is a lot. Actually, these ribs, I'm sending those over to a friend of ours' house. But here I've got multiple roasts. I'm going to be canning some carnitas with this. And here I have 2 10-pound bags of lard. I've actually got 2 more in the fridge. This is from the most recent hog. It was a Mangalitsa. They're lard pigs. They have a lot of fat. And I'm going to be rendering this lard down so that it is shelf stable and ready to use. Another thing that I started, because, you know, Hummingbird days, see my kitchen table is covered in stuff. I decided that since I was planning on being in the kitchen all weekend, like a lot of the stuff I'm going to start today won't be ready to actually bottle and process until tomorrow. But I decided since I was planning on being around, I would go ahead and start organizing my kitchen. I really need to get rid of some kitchen stuff, which I find that very difficult to do. I'm not a minimalist at all. Like, I like my stuff, I like it around me. That's probably obvious. Like, I need to be able to see things so that I'll remember that they exist. And I just end up getting into this place regularly, like where I'm opening cabinets and just stuff is just falling out, and it's a fine line. It's like, okay, look, I have all this stuff, and yes, it's a little loud and it's a little busy, but then it's just a very fine line until you step over into just abject chaos, and I'm in the chaos stage right now. So I'm getting rid of some kitchen stuff, which is hard for me to do because it's good stuff. And like right now, I used to have like 3 crock pots. And I know one of them got dropped and broken. The other one may have quit working. It may be over at my sister-in-law's. And so I'm gonna wait until she's up and go over there and see if she's got one that I can use. But all I've got is this pot, and I render lard in crock pots. And so this is gonna slow me down. I'll see if I can go find another crock pot. But we'll start with this one. I got asked about this last time it was in a video. This thing, okay. I am frugal, okay? I'm not gonna say I'm cheap because I will spend money on things. I have nice things. Like, I will spend money on things that I know are nice and will last. But like, nothing rankles me like something being expensive that's cheap. Like, that should be cheap because it's cheap quality. Like, that is like a point of rage inside of me. Like, when I specifically do research and try to purchase something that is higher quality and it comes shipped to me from a third world country in a white plastic bag, I want to rage because I'm like, this is ridiculous, because I know you did not pay the person who made this anything. So anyway, I digress. I could get on that soapbox, but I won't. It won't do any good for my Hummingbird videos. I bought this. This is an Instant Pot. I can't remember what it's called. Dutch oven, slow cooker, something like that. And I bought this on like an end cap clearance closeout. I don't even remember what store I bought it in, maybe Target. But it was like 50 bucks. And when I got it, I was like, okay, yeah, 50 bucks. That's a good deal. I think that's reasonable for an appliance. I looked them up, and I don't know if I got like a store return. I lucked out because they're actually like $200. And when I first saw that, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Now that I've had this thing for 3 years or so, and I have used it extensively, I actually probably would pay $200 for it now. So what it is, it's made by Instant Pot, the brand. I guess the brand is actually just Instant. I don't know. I have multiple of their appliances. But it is a cast iron Dutch oven. Now, I think it's maybe 6 quarts. That seems about right. Hold on, let me actually, because I don't think it says on here. Let me see. I know this guy's 5 quarts, and it's definitely bigger than that. but I don't think it's as big as my 7. So yeah, I'm guessing that 6 quarts. It may be like 6.5. But you can use this Dutch oven separate. Like you can just put this on the stove. You can cook in the oven with it, like just like you would any cast iron Dutch oven. It is enameled, so it's like got the lining inside, which I've used this extremely heavily. It's held up, so I feel good about that. But it has this base thing, and you can sear in it. So you can put this in and turn sear on and like saute your onions in there. You can do slow cook, braise, and then it's got like a manual, which that's how you do slow cook on high. But I actually really do like it. So at first, when I first saw the full price, I was like, there's no way, because I'm a little frugal, so like I don't routinely spend $200 on appliances, but they got me on this one with a good deal, and now I actually do think that it really is a great appliance. I'm gonna go pull my hair up. I know when I talk about like outrageous prices, I use that outraged voice like, $200. That's how I feel inside. And honestly, I'm feeling that a lot lately. Like, I just like live in a state of sticker shock right now. Gas prices, grocery store, just everywhere I go, I'm like, are you serious? Okay, so this is lard from a Mangalitsa hog. That's why there's so much of it from this one pig. And our friends did our processing, and they actually already put this through a grinder for me. So when you're processing lard, you want it to be cut up really small. You don't want to put big hunks in. And this is ground really fine. You can see it's almost like pasty, which is great. This is gonna melt down. It's not gonna expand, so you can really like pack it in there. This is a little frozen in the middle, which it's fine. It'll thaw as it warms up. I'm going to be so moisturized. Okay, get all that in there. Lard is actually pretty easy as long as you get it cut up small in the beginning. That's the biggest issue that I hear that people have when they're trying to process it. Is that they start with too big of chunks and then it doesn't render down properly. Basically, you want to go very low and very slow. I like a crock pot the best. I have done this in a roaster oven before, but I just think you get better results in a crock pot. And what we want to do is cook this down so that the solids separate. That's how you get cracklings. That's what cracklings are, is the bits that are woven throughout this fat that cook down and basically turn into little crisps. They all sink to the bottom. You're also wanting all the moisture that's in the lard to cook out. So I am going to put this on the slow cook and start it, and I put the lid on just cocked just a little bit. Like, you just want to leave a little bit of a rim so that the steam can go out, because that's how the moisture is going to escape the pot. I've seen people give instructions where they say to cook it covered, but I've always, the guys who taught me how to render lard were the guys from Hand Hewn Farms, Andy and Doug. I don't think they have any sort of like social media presence, but we've had them come out a couple of times and do butchering workshops on our farm. And you know, this is what they said to do. It's what I've always done. I've never had any issues. I've never had it not work. But we basically want to render this. It takes roughly like 10 to 12 hours. It's going to be an all day thing. I always like to start it in the morning. And you want to go real low, because if you go higher, what will happen is that the bits in it, like the meat bits and stuff, they'll burn. And I think it takes it to I don't know, it doesn't reach smoke point, because even on a high in a crock pot, it's only, I think, maybe what, like 280 to 300 degrees, something in that range. But it's just, you're going to get a more porky flavor when you do it that way, whereas when you go low and slow, I feel like it stays milder. Now, there's two kinds of lard. There's like the regular fat of the pig, which is what this is. This is a Mangalitsa, so that breed, their fat is really white. When you grow Mangalitsas, I mean, partially you're growing them for the cooking fat because it's just really high quality. But all hogs have what's called leaf lard, which is a smaller amount that's kind of on the inside of their bodies. And it is your mildest flavored lard. So that's the one that people typically like to keep for baking, because you can put it in pie crust and stuff and it's not going to have any porky flavor. I personally think regular lard is fine. Like, I'll pop popcorn with it, like we'll fry stuff in it. I will use it in bread baking and making biscuits and stuff like that. But I've mostly raised Mangalitsa, so I may be partial to that because the breed of hog that I've been exposed to. So I actually have the fat from an old spot pig that we processed at the end of last year, and I've got to do that next after I get through this. Like I said, I'm honing in. I'm getting my freezer emptied. But once I process that old spot fat, I'll know, is it really the breed or is it actually okay? All right, so that's going. All right, got the roaster oven ready to go. Move these eggs. I'm gonna turn this on to 400 to start. So we're gonna roast our bones first. So I make my broth in roaster ovens. Again, this should not be an expensive appliance. Every roaster oven I own, my mom gave me a couple of them. That's how I first got on to this, because my mom would use roaster ovens, especially during the holidays when she was doing a lot of cooking. I've never lived in a house that had like a double oven or anything like this, so this kind of makes up for that. But when I started homesteading, and also when my family just got a lot bigger, I realized just how handy they were. These go on sale for a long time. They were like 20 something bucks. Now I'm sure they're in the $40 to $50 range, but around Thanksgiving is where you can snap these up for a good deal. Mine, I don't even know what the brand is of this. It's come off Aroma. I think they're cheap. These are not fancy. They're not expensive. I don't own an expensive one. I've looked it up and seen them up to $200 range. I wouldn't do that. I just need it. I don't need fancy features. I really just need to be able to set the temperature. I need it to be from very low, which is under 150 degrees. There's like a keep warm setting, then there's 150 degrees, and it goes up to 450. And this works like an oven. Obviously you take the whole lid off so it loses heat really fast, but like you can cook turkeys in here, or ham, braised meat. When we were remodeling our kitchen, I did bake bread in them. Not as good as a regular oven, but it was pretty close. It was effective. I was able to cook stuff. The reason I like to do broth in them is twofold. For broth, I always want to roast the bones first. It makes a massive difference in the flavor of the broth. And with this, I can roast the bones in this, then I can pour the water over it, and one pot, that's all I've got is this. This liner comes out, it's not hot yet. This comes out, I can take it to the sink and wash it. It's just very easy. If you are doing your bone broth on the stove, you would need to roast your bones. If you had a really big cast iron Dutch oven, you could do it in that, move it over and do it, and you'd still be in one pot. But if you're doing like a big stainless steel pot, you'd obviously need to roast them in a roasting pan. You need to get all the bits off the bottom and pour it into your pot to preserve all the flavor. The biggest reason, it's not even about washing the dishes. I've made plenty of broth on my stove, but I cook. My family's here all the time. We homeschool, we work from home. So I'm cooking multiple meals a day. And for pork bones, we do 24 hours. For beef bones, we do 48 hours. So having a massive pot taking up a large portion of my stove for 48 hours is a real hindrance to me getting dinner done. So I like this because I can have this going without interrupting my normal kitchen flow. You can do different amounts of broth. So I could probably stop here with these bones going like halfway up. I'm gonna fill it a little bit more. It will just make for a richer broth. But with pork bones, they're not as dense as beef bones. So they break down a lot faster, and the collagen basically comes out a lot faster. And so we only have to cook these for 24 hours. I'm gonna stop there. A little over halfway full on this roaster. We processed a cow unexpectedly a little over a month ago. Our friends that did this processing for us did it. We were getting ready to go out of town. We had a cow that she prolapsed last time. The vet suggested we breed her again, but if she prolapsed again, then we needed to cull her. And she did. It would be inhumane to continue to breed her. I didn't want to sell her to anybody because I didn't want to risk anybody else breeding her. So sadly, that we had to make that call. So I ended up with all of these bones, and they'd never been frozen. They were so fresh and good. And I made 50 quarts of beef bone broth in a week. Like, this was less than a month ago, in the last month. And it's actually what got me kick-started on this. Like, hey, it's time to process all the bones and the fat in the freezer. I was just in autopilot, Hummingbird day, getting a lot done. And I did one of my roasters that I threw all the bones in, and then just without thinking, I didn't roast them. I just started pouring water over them. And it did not click to me until 2 hours later that I was like, oh no, I did not roast those bones. The broth is okay. Like, it was interesting because I've roasted bones for so long for broth, but I tell everybody, do this because the flavor's better. And I forgot, like, I assume the flavor is better, like, I've not really made broth without roasting the bones. Well, now I have, and the flavor is significantly better whenever you roast them. It's still good broth. It still has all the good collagen. It still has all the benefit. But I will likely use that batch of broth that I forgot to roast to, be like the cooking liquid in rice, where it's a little more forgivable for it to not have as much flavor. All right, so these are on 400. And I'm just going to put the lid on, and I'm going to let this go for about an hour. All right, I'm going to move these heavy things down. I also have 2 big pork loins in the bottom of this that I'm thawing, that I'm going to smoke tomorrow on my smoker. This is what I'm wanting to make the carnitas out of, this big pork loin roast. But, still just a touch frozen, so I'm gonna let it sit out and I can sing for a little bit. Good time for a tea break. Finished my coffee this morning, and here I have some peppermint leaves, which I dried from the garden last year, and here is some ginger, which I freeze dried from the garden last year. Oh, I just wish I could give you guys a sniff of that. It's so good. This is actually my go-to when anybody has a tummy ache. And we've had just a little bit of a bug kind of moving through our house. I don't know, because honestly, I think that it's because my family, we eat so much. We eat real food, we drink raw milk, we eat food, we're in contact with soil a lot and things like that. And I really do think we just have really healthy guts, and that helps us have strong immune systems. What used to just completely wipe us out, like now it's like, am I sick? Am I sick right now? Like, where you feel a little bit off, but you're still mostly okay. And I've been dealing with that this week. So I've been drinking peppermint ginger tea, and now I actually feel great. I don't actually think I'm even remotely sick. I don't even feel a little off, but this tea is just so refreshing. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna keep drinking it. I just do like a spoonful of the dried peppermint leaves and just a few pieces of this freeze-dried ginger, put boiling water over it, and put a spoonful of honey in it. It's so nice. Alright, I sat there and sipped my tea and edited the first part of this video, and the smell of this alerted me that it was time to move on to the next step. It's 50 minutes, something like that. Really just depends on whatever oven you're using or roaster. And we're going to go ahead and pour water over these. All that color is going to add so much flavor. There's actually science behind that. It's called the Maillard reaction. You can look that up and like read all of the actual details of it. But when you brown animal product, it breaks things down, and it does actually scientifically create a lot more depth in the flavor. So we want the Maillard reaction in our broth, as I learned firsthand recently. Honestly, how much water you put in really comes down to the pot you're using. You want your bones fully covered for sure. I'm gonna go one more full gallon. It's never exact, because obviously like the space the bones take up, how many I have. Sometimes it's all the way to the very tip top, sometimes it's underneath. I'm not trying to do it super exact. I'm sure you could. Alright, so this has been, you can see it's kind of very mildly simmering. Honestly, these bones, this is a flour sifter I'm using, but it works. They're not really very dirty. Sometimes there will be like a lot of scuzz that's up on the top. There's a little bit of stuff like that, but a lot of this you can also strain out whenever you strain the end product. But now I'm going to lower the heat There wasn't very much in there. I have especially purchased bones before. I have had them have a lot of like, you know, foamy, just gritty stuff on the top. And these really didn't have very much. But I'm going to lower the heat down to about 150, which is, or just under that, which is kind of a little hotter than crock pot low. That's a low simmer. And that's it. I'm going to leave those. Oh, the ACV. I have definitely forgotten this step before. You still get good broth, but it is said that a little bit of acid will help your broth be richer. So just about a tablespoon or two of that. And now we wait till tomorrow. I was actually about to start my pressure canner to start my pork carnitas, but I remembered that we were going to go to our friend's new farmer's market today. So I'm going to wait till we get back, because if I start that now, I'm home for 2 hours. I made these fresh milled brownies last night for the kids, and they turned out really well. I was very pleased with it. I have been doing all the fresh milled things. I found a Substack that I got several recipes off of, and I'm leaning towards just breaking this episode and giving you guys another vlog later this week, kind of jumping into the next thing. But I'm making a list right now because I have everything to do the pork carnitas. So I'll share this again whenever I go to actually make some of this stuff. But the Substack is called Our Off-Grid Life. If you don't know what Substack is, it is a writing platform, and it's honestly another social media platform, but you don't have to use it like a social media platform. So you can sign up, you can get the app, and it has like where people share photos and connect and network and all that stuff. I really like it because it reminds me of social media like 15 years ago, back before it was completely inundated with like ads and all of that. I feel like I got left in the dust in a lot of social media because I don't want to dance in reels and point and all the different things. It's not for me, but I have loved Substack. I started my own Substack last summer. It's called A Life in Season, and I'm largely just writing and sharing my photography, sharing about farm life and just being human and waxing poetic as one does. You can just sign up for a publication. I'll share a link, and if you just sign up for it, you don't have to pay anything for mine. I don't have anything behind a paywall. You just sign up like a newsletter, and you just get it in your email, and you just read in your email. So you don't have to use the app. You don't have to use the social media aspect. And I found this one account on here called Our Off-Grid Life. I don't know them other than following their Substack, but they shared a couple of newsletters talking about canning meals in jars, and it looks really good. Carnitas, fajita bowls, chicken curry. They had, I can't remember what the older ones were, but I'm going to go through and make a list, and I am going to have to get just a couple of ingredients because like one of these calls for like green bell peppers, and obviously I don't have those right now because I'm not growing any. But I think that it would be really great to have some meals in jars, some things that I can just like make a fresh pot of rice or make some fresh tortillas and open a jar or two and feed my family a dinner that I didn't have to think about or prepare for ahead of time. Other than now. I'm preparing for it now, so I don't have to prepare for it then. But I'll put a link to that, and I'm going to say farewell for now. But I really like doing vloggy kitchen videos. As a person who can struggle a little bit with attention, it helps me to have somebody there with me when I'm working, like body doubling, I think they call it. And so I love being able to offer you that. So I don't know, tell me what you think. Thank you guys for hanging out in my kitchen with me today. I bless you. Until next time.